Donald Trump's chief of staff, Mick Mulvaney, held a press conference in which he basically admits crime. Watch.
He also mentioned to me in the past that the corruption related to the DNC server. Absolutely. No question about that. But that's it. And that's why we held up the money. Now, there was a report.
So the demand for an investigation into the Democrats was part of the reason that it was ordered to withhold funding to Ukraine.
The look back to what happened in 2016 certainly was part of the thing that he was worried about in corruption with that nation. And that is absolutely appropriate.
Withholding the funding.
Yeah.
Oh boy. So what is that in relation to, by the way, with Ukraine? Well, that's an insane conspiracy theory that it was the Ukraine or people in Ukraine that hacked the DNC, not the Russians. And so there's some sort of secret server that's located within Ukraine and that they're trying to hide it. And so Donald Trump says, go and find the server so that we can disprove the entire Mueller probe. So that's what that's about. Again, there's no proof of that. It's a crazy conspiracy theory, but there it is. There it is. So now, look, that reporter, when he asked, you just said quid pro quo. Isn't that quid pro quo? And he said, no, that's completely and utterly appropriate. It's in the whistleblower report. It's in the memo. Mulvaney just admitted it right there. But no, we're going to have more video on this. And then comes the hilarious backpedal / explanation. Take a look.
Impoundment, and I know I just put half of you folks to bed, but there's the Budget Control Act, Budget Control Impoundment Act of 1974 says that if Congress appropriates money, you have to spend it. Okay, at least that's how it's interpreted by some folks. And we knew that money either had to go out the door by the end of September, or we had to have a really, really good reason not to do it. And that was the legality of the issue.
But to be clear, what you just described is a quid pro quo. It is funding will not flow unless the investigation into the Democratic server happen as well.
We do that all the time with foreign policy. We were holding up money at the same time for what was it? The Northern Triangle countries. We were holding up aid at the Northern Triangle countries so that they would change their policies on immigration. Well, McKinney said yesterday that he was really upset with the political influence in foreign policy. That was one of the reasons he was so upset about this. And I have news for everybody. Get over it.
Hey, get over it. We do it all the time. I mean, these Northern Triangle countries. Yeah, okay. Trade deal is one thing, right? No, but this is different. This is Donald Trump's personal political gain. That's him winning re-election and disproving these supposed phony witch hunt investigations around him. That is personal political. That is quid pro quo. That is absolutely illegal. You cannot ask. And by the way, the reason that it's illegal is that it counts as a campaign contribution. He would be literally getting a campaign contribution from a foreign source. It's spelled out in the Constitution that you cannot ask favors from foreign countries. And this idiot goes out on TV and he says, get over it. Get over it. Yes, that's exactly what we did. It's entirely appropriate, 100%. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? So now, of course, the administration goes into full damage control. First, with Mulvaney. So now he releases a statement. And he said, once again, the media has decided to misconstrue my comments to advance a biased and political witch hunt against President Trump. Let me be clear, there was absolutely no quid pro quo. Again, you saw the video, you saw them asking, is that quid pro quo? And he basically says yes. Now he says, no quid pro quo. None at all. And again, it goes back to the talking points that not once, but twice, and I didn't get to report on the second time, where the White House, the administration, accidentally emailed their talking points to Democrats. Frickin' hilarious. So now, let me continue with Mulvaney's statement. He said, no quid pro quo between Ukrainian military aid and in any investigation in the 2016 election. The president never told me to withhold any money until the Ukrainians did anything related to the server. As we can see, not at all true. So now, again, damage control, right? So that's Mulvaney's statement. Let's go to Jay Sekulow, who is one of Donald Trump's personal lawyers. On Thursday, he said this, quote, "The president's legal counsel was not involved in acting chief of staff Mick Mulvaney's press briefing." Mulvaney, meet bus. There's more. The Department of Justice, who again is involved in this, they said, no involvement by Attorney General William Barr. Mr. Trump has not asked Barr to contact Ukraine for any reason. And a Justice Department spokesperson added on Thursday that the White House was withholding aid in regards to the cooperation of any investigation of the Department of Justice. That is news to us. Again, Mulvaney, meet bus. Justice Department officials were also said to have been, quote, confused and angry. Well, I understand that because that's me about 90% of the time, confused and angry when it comes to this administration. So now, basically, they were that way because they heard that Mr. Mulvaney said the White House had frozen aid to Ukraine in exchange for help with the Durham investigation or the investigation into Ukraine, according to a person familiar with the discussions. And add in this, Donald Trump himself, after watching that, was also enraged, according to a source close to the president. Quote, he was not happy. Oh, again, Mulvaney, meet bus. Are you seeing the pattern here? Everyone is like, Mulvaney, his fault. He did it. We had Mulvaney who? Oh, that him? He was just a coffee boy. Hilarious. Not you even got Sean Hannity in his show saying this. This is on his radio show. Quote, I just think he's dumb. I really do. I don't think he knows what he's talking about. That's just my take on it. Mulvaney, how's that bus feel? How's it feel to be under that? I mean, does it look like the brakes are good, brake lines and all that? Because, I mean, you're in prime position to give us a readout on what the underside of that bus looks like. This is awesome. So, but look, here's the thing. We have testimony from Fiona Hill. This also just happened, right? Now, she is the president's former senior director for European and Russian affairs at the National Security Council. She testified that Mr. Mulvaney was part of a trio of Trump loyalists who conducted a rogue foreign policy operation in Ukraine. Ms. Hill told lawmakers that John Bolton, then the national security advisor and war criminal, instructed her early in July to advise the National Security Council's chief lawyer about the effort by Mr. Mulvaney, Mr. Sondland, and Giuliani. Sondland also said, look, I got pressured to send the no quid pro quo tweet, or I'm sorry, text. And so again, we have the text between Sondland and some of the other officials at the State Department where one of them was like, hey, look, this is crazy that we're actually holding up money for Ukraine for political purposes. Sondland says, no quid pro quo. Call me. Call me. Whatever you do, don't leave a paper trail. Get off of text. For the love of God. Now he says, like, I was pressured into sending that text. What are you going to do, right? Pressured. And so let me go back to Bolton telling Fiona Hill in her testimony, quote, I'm not a part of whatever drug deal Sondland and Mulvaney are cooking up. Yeah. So look, there's some obvious criminality that's gone on here, right? That took place, which is why everybody was like, Mulvaney, he did it. That sounds kind of familiar, right? Because we've already had Rick Perry get thrown under the bus. In fact, Perry just announced his resignation the other day. He's leaving because he just woke up on the other side of that same bus. And now here comes Mulvaney. Look, I don't know about you, but I think Mulvaney is not long for this administration. You can see it. When everybody starts to throw him under the bus and distance themselves, as Trump has, as well as a lot of members of the administration over this Ukraine thing. I mean, it doesn't take a genius to see it. Maybe it won't happen tomorrow. Maybe it won't happen next week. But pretty soon, I think Mulvaney is either going to wise up and say, okay, I'm out. I'm gone. I'm not going to take this anymore, or Donald Trump is going to ask for his resignation. We'll see when it happens, but I can almost guarantee that it will happen. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.